Welcome to my Boomer Buddies podcast, where we tell it like it was and is. Today, we've got another musicologist, Quincy Stringham. Welcome back, Boomer Buddy.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, today we're going to do a For the Record edition. What we're going to do is we have a category called One Hit Wonders, and we're going to talk about one hit wonders. I'll read some questions. Quincy will probably know every one, but we're also going to talk about the groups. A one hit wonder basically is someone that had success with a record and it achieved popularity in the US in the top 40. Many of these artists or groups may have been affiliated with other groups and had other hits, but for the purpose of one hit wonder, that's the criteria. They had one top 40 hit. And so with that, let's start with the first question, Quincy. One hit wonder. This one charted number one with Winchester Cathedral in November of 1966. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give four choices. One is correct. The other are fake answers. Okay?
Okay.
Was it A, the New Vaudeville Band? B, the Fifth Estate? C, Rudy Valley? Or D, Lucas McCain? The one-hit wonder, Winchester Cathedral in November of 1966. Quincy, do you know the answer?
I do know the answer. It was the New Vaudeville Band.
Correct, Quincy. 5 points. Nice job. The New Vaudeville Band, they were a group created by songwriter Jeff Stevens in 66 to record a novelty composition, Winchester Cathedral. You probably have that song going through your head out there, people that are watching or listening. It was inspired by the dance bands of the 20s and the Rudy Valley megaphone vocal style. To his surprise, the song became a transatlantic hit that autumn, reaching the top 10 in the United Kingdom and then number one here in the US. He quickly assembled a real band because he used studio musicians and toured for quite a few years. Do you have anything to add on the New Vaudeville Band?
Yeah, thanks for putting that in my brain now for the rest of the day.
If you want to also, viewers and listeners, you can go to YouTube and there's a really nice video of them doing this on the TV show. It's pretty good. And you're welcome, Quincy, for having that stuck.
That's great. But I'm sure there's more to come. Some of them will probably be great. But this one was totally out of left field. It's like one of those songs that shows up like the Singing Nun back in the early '60s or something. And for whatever reason, it was just unique enough that it was on the radio like every time. Every time you turn on the radio on your car, there it was. And it's one of those songs that after a while was how fast could you hit the button on your dashboard to change the channel? It's catchy though, right?
We didn't have videos back then, music videos. Right. And if you saw them on a TV show, it may have been interesting to see what they actually look like. So that's why I brought up that YouTube video. It's kind of cool to see what they look like. Yeah. They played the whole 20s thing out with the dress and everything. Question number 2, one hit wonders. We Ain't Got Nothing Yet was a hit in the winter of 1967. Who was this one hit wonder? Was it A, Frigid Pink? B, Blues Magoos? C, Krabby Appleton? Or D, Blue Cheer? Quincy, you know the answer.
Blues Magoos.
Blues Magoos is correct. The Blues Magoos were an American rock group from the Bronx, New York City. They were at the forefront of the psychedelic music trend beginning in 1966. And of course, they're best known for that song, You Ain't Got Nothing Yet. I love that song, Quincy.
Oh, it's a great song. It's a great song. My best friend Bert, who's a guy I went to Woodstock with, actually. This was like his signature song for whatever reason. He loved this song, and so I heard it at his house like every time I was there. So yeah, I've heard the song a few times, and I have to admit, I actually do have the album. I have the
nice.
Vinyl, so.
And that's another one, Quincy, where check out the YouTube video because they have attitude when they're playing it. And there's a lot of energy, and it's in your face. I just love it. And watch the bass player.
Okay.
During that video.
The album is actually pretty good. I mean, I heard the album a lot because Bert always was playing it. But it wasn't just they knew more than one song. It was a pretty good album.
And again, just because they're one-hit wonders don't mean they weren't good.
Right, right,
You know,
right.
you've got Winchester Cathedral, like you said, it was kind of out of left field, 20s era, and it just caught on. But Blues Magoos, I believe they would have had a good album.
This song was exactly at the right time when it came out. It was kind of the signature song of that short period of time. So yeah, good song.
Yeah, and they also had the hair got longer, and it
Yeah,
was more of a
yeah,
page
yeah,
boy look,
yeah,
shoulder
yeah.
length with bang
Straight long hair. Yeah,
and
yeah.
attitude. Quincy, here's question number 3, one-hit wonders. Ride, Captain, Ride was a number 4 hit in the summer of 1970. Where were you in 1970? What one-hit wonder had this hit, Ride, Captain, Ride? Was it Blue Cheer, Blues Image, Black and Blue, or The Shocking Blue? Quincy
Blues
knows
Image.
this. Blues
Blues
Image is
Image.
correct. Let's talk about Blues Image. I personally really love the keyboard in that.
What, ride, Captain, ride upon my mystery ship, right? Isn't that how it
Yeah.
goes?
Blues Image was an American rock band. They had a hit in 70 with Ride Captain Ride, like we just mentioned.
Well, I have the book here that tells all about them. Here's
Tell me.
there's their picture right there. They're from Tampa, Florida. It looks like they all broke up and recorded with a bunch of other people as well. So there's a whole list of who they played with.
Panera left them to join Iron Butterfly.
Yeah, yeah, right. Iron Butterfly. Yeah, one guy did studio work with Pink Floyd, Three Dog Night, Bee Gees, Jackson Brown. So they actually, had some chops. A good song, good hook to the song.
Did you ever play that in any of your
Oh
bands?
no, never played that.
Here's a one-hit wonder that you probably have heard of because of the music scene he was in. I'll read the question and then we'll talk more about him. The Eve of Destruction was a number 1 hit in the summer of 65 when the winds of change were kind of blowing. Who was the one-hit wonder? Was it Glenn Carroll, Barry Gibb, Len Barry, or Barry McGuire?
Barry McGuire. I don't think
Yeah,
Barry Gibb could have achieved that growling vocal.
his name was Barry. That's why I threw that
Yeah.
choice in there. Yeah, McGuire formed a duo with Barry Kane called Barry and Barry. They performed original folk songs at the Ice House, a small club in Pasadena, before moving to the Troubadour, the famous Troubadour in Hollywood, in the spring of '62. They joined the folk group, the New Christie Minstrels.
Right.
McGuire later sang vocals on the novelty hit Three Wheels on My Wagon. And then he went solo and had this song, Eve of
Well,
Destruction.
he was right in there with John Phillips and the Mamas and the Papas at the beginning. And I'm
Mhm.
not sure, but I think he was up for to be a member or something, but he didn't end up being one. And I think the song, if I'm not mistaken, was written by P.F. Sloan.
Also, California Dreamin', I believe Barry McGuire recorded it, and then the Mamas and the Papas erased his vocals. They were singing backup on it, and then they did their own with Denny Doherty,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
they had to hit with it, and I think he was upset
yeah,
about that.
yeah. He was right in there with them at the near formative. He was a significant part of the L.A. folk rock scene. 62, 63, 64, 65, right in there. Even Discretion was his only hit, but he was a very visible presence in that scene. So
And then he later on did Christian music. Yeah, Eve of Destruction, I remember that clearly. It had a lot of grit in it.
yeah, it
He
did.
he felt that song.
So it's on Dunhill Records, same label that the Moms and Papas were on. So
Did
it
you
was,
have that? Did
yeah,
you?
I have it. Yeah, I bought it.
Okay, here's one. I love this song. Mother-in-Law
Hmm.
was a number 1 hit in the spring of '61. Who had that hit? Was it Jimmy Soul, the Corsairs, the Ad-Libs, or Ernie Cado?
Mr. Ernie Cado.
Love the lyrics in that
Yeah,
song.
yeah,
Yeah. She asked me what I made,
yeah.
mother-in-law. Yeah, it's fun.
What year was that? 60,
That was 61.
61. I mean, I remember that. I was in junior high school. I love that song.
Soul.
Yeah, okay, you mentioned also Jimmy Soul. It's one of the answers.
Yeah.
But right around that same time, he had a great song called If You Want to Be Happy, which the signature line was, if you want to be happy for the rest of your life, never make a pretty woman your wife. go from my personal point of view, get an ugly girl to marry you. And then on and on and on, he explains it. Probably not politically correct at this point. You probably could not release that song in 2024, but 1961, it was pretty funny to an 11-year-old kid, you know.
Part of that song was, "Oh, there she is. She's ugly. Yeah, she's
But
ugly. She sure
sure
can cook."
can cook. Yeah, that's the one.
You're right. That couldn't be made today,
Yeah.
but a lot of fun. Here's one that I don't know how you felt about it. It might be a little, too poppy for you, but I liked it as a kid. Come on down to my boat, baby.
Oh God, I love that song. Oh, I love that song. I'm one of the 3 guys that bought the album.
I loved it too. It's so catchy. Well, who had the hit? Was it Every Mother's Son, The Five Americans, The Circle, or Quincy Stringham?
Every Mother's Son. But those
Correct.
guys are all kind of the same group, actually, to a certain degree. They all have that same sound, except for this last ringer that you mentioned. You know, they were like college students in New York City, and one went to dental school, and so they were, it was 1965, I think. It was like that song could only have been written in the mid 60s. It just sounded like the 60s.
It was actually 67, but yeah.
67, yeah.
Every Mother's Son.
2 years later, that wouldn't have been a hit because
Right.
the music was much harder. I mean, that was in the last gasp of Moon and June, and everything was talking about "Come on down to my boat, baby."
Yeah.
I mean, 2 years later, they weren't singing about going down anybody's boat. They were
Right.
they were singing about other things.
That was an innuendo song too.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one, Professor. One hit wonder. These one hit wonders hit the top 40 in February 1970 with "My Bellamy." Name this group. Was it Dawn, Alexander Graham, the Tea Set, or Tea Garden and Van Winkle?
Tea Set, I believe.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
The Tea Set.
I had to wait to hear that one. No, I couldn't remember. I remember the song and I knew it, but once I heard the name, it's one of those. But I couldn't have come up with it without your hint.
Yep. The Tea Set was a pop rock band formed in 1965 by singer Peter Tutero in Delft, Netherlands.
Yeah,
the band
that's right.
is best known for the single "Ma Belle Amie." It was number 5 in the United States. It was very catchy, and I liked that accent that he sang with, because a lot of the English singers sang with an American accent, right?
Yeah, right.
But these guys from the Netherlands had a little bit of an accent that was fun to hear.
Meanwhile, the American bands were naming themselves things like Buckinghams, so they'd sound English. Back and forth, Bull Brumbles,
Yeah.
a bunch of them.
I got another one-hit wonder for you, Professor.
Okay.
Who reached the charts in September of '68 with the hit "Girl Watcher"? Now listen to the clever choices. Was it Mel and Tim, the Malones, the Intruders, or the Occasions? Girl Watcher. I'm a girl watcher.
Yeah. What were the last two again?
The last two were the Intruders and the Occasions.
The Occasions.
Ding, 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 ding. It's hard to stump Quince.
Yeah.
The Occasions are an American pop band from Kenly, North Carolina. They formed in 1959. They're best known for "Girl Watcher."
And when was that a hit?
That was a hit in '68.
So they paid their dues, sounds like.
Absolutely. You being a musician, can you imagine having a hit song and you play it over and over and over for 50 plus years?
Oh, I can't. I mean, I'm not anywhere close to being in the same boat, but there are certain songs that you play a lot. You get tired of playing them. But there's also the songs that people really like. And I think of the Mick Jagger singing "Satisfaction" and I'm thinking, oh, God bless him. He gets up there and sells it every night. That's a real deal. So
I got another one for you, Quince. One hit wonders. "California Sun" was a number 5 hit for what one hit wonder? And I'm going to just read the options. I know you know it. The Surfaris, the Ripcords, the Trashmen, or the Rivieras?
The Rivieras.
Correct. Great song.
Yep. I was up in Boise, Idaho on business one day when I lived out west and had music in the city center out in the park every summer on like Wednesday night every week, and they always had music, and they had this rock and roll review that night, and the Paul Revere and the Raiders were from Boise, and I think there was another band up there that was their competition, and I can't remember their name.
Is it the Kingsmen?
No, it wasn't the Kingsmen. There was another Boise group, but they didn't go national, but they were really popular up there. The Paul Revere got the breaks and became the national act. But anyway, they had a whole bunch of people playing, and it was just a lot of fun. And I was talking to this guy who played guitar in one of the bands that they put together for this thing. And he's the guy that played the riff on California Sun. And he was 15 years old. And they called him in to do it. His first recording. And so there I am standing with the guy that guy. And there I am talking to this guy. And I've heard this song. It's like a worm in my brain. There he is right there, the real guy. Tiny bit of rock and roll history,
And it's funny you mentioned that, because when I hear that song, when he does that descending lead, the descending on the scale, it's only at the beginning, that part.
Yeah.
Anytime he plays it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
But what a great song.
Yeah.
The Rivieras were an American band formed in the early 60s. It says South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah, he played it as a Midwest. He was a Midwest surf band.
Yeah. And they had a song called California Sun.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
fun. How fun is that? Well, great story you have on him.
And he was, I believe, a music professor at Boise State.
Oh, how
so he
cool.
actually, cleaned up his act and became a music professor.
Why don't you mention that one-hit wonder book that you have, the Billboard one-hit wonder book, and your story about that author?
Well, I hang out a lot at the Old Town School of Folk Music in Chicago, do different things up there. And I was playing in an ensemble up there. We got this new guy in, and he kind of sat in the corner and quietly, the new guy syndrome, and we got to talk. He said a few things. He said, well, this guy kind of sounds like he knows what he's talking about. And I got to talking to him, and it turns out that he was the author of the Billboard Book of One-Hit Wonders, Billboard magazine. Yeah, it's like 500 pages long. And it's got pictures and write-ups of, all tons of one-hit wonders. And, who knew? This guy, quiet guy sitting in the corner, and he wrote this great book, So needless to say, he got me a book and signed it for me, and we became kind of friends. And then, anyway, so it's small world,
Quincy, you have so many cool aside stories. Right. Hey, you ready for another one-hit wonder question for the record game?
Yeah.
Parody songs were always huge, right, for us growing up. Leader of the Laundromat was a parody of Leader of the Pack.
Yeah.
This was in late 1964. Do you know who did this?
I do, unfortunately. This is like sad that I actually know this.
Let me read the options anyway. So Leader of the Pack was the song they spoofed, and this song was called Leader of the Laundromat. Was it the Ivories, the Tide, Lukewarm and the Drip Dries, or the Detergents?
Well, those are all great names. Any of them would have worked, right? But it was the Detergents.
The Detergents.
And did you make those other names up all by yourself?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that's very good. You did a good job.
My favorite is Lukewarm and the Drip Dry.
Yeah, no, that was probably better than the Detergents.
Yeah, I think I remember sitting in my recliner laughing. Leader of the Laundromat, I'll just give you a few details on it. It's a parody of the Shangri-La's Leader of the Pack. It was written and produced by Paul Vance and Lee Pockritz. The song became a top 20 hit in the U.S., peaking at number 19, and was Quincy thrilled about that. The lead vocal on that was Danny Jordan, who was Paul Vance's nephew. Jordan had a 1960 single on Cap Records called Just Couldn't Resist Her with her pocket transistor.
I am glad to say that I actually can't bring this one to mind. I can't bring it. I can't hear it in my head, which is a blessing.
Oh, that's good. It also had somebody by the name of Ron Dante, who you probably...
he was in the bubblegum world, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did Tracy, the Links. That was Ron Dante.
I think he was Sugar Sugar. Sugar Sugar is one of those songs that everybody who thinks they have any credibility in music, trashes that song.
Yes.
How many people bought it?
Right.
Right? And you can't tell me that it's not a catchy tune. Sometimes you have to kind of, in my opinion, sometimes you have to get over yourself and how sophisticated you are and just say, that's got a great beat. You can dance to it. I don't care if it's Archie comic book guys. And if you want to hear, I think it was Wilson Pickett or somebody covered it. I don't know.
No,
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't Wilson, but it was somebody covered it. It was like, oh my God, it's like a totally different song,
I love when these acts dovetail into other areas. I actually cut that out of the back of a cereal box.
Oh, was
That
it one of those cardboard records you could play?
yeah. Well, I think we'll do one more one hit wonder, Quincy. And talking about somebody like Rondante, who you could hear his voice on many other records, but technically that group was a one hit wonder. The White Plains had a hit in 1970. What was it? Was it Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes? United We Stand? My Baby Loves Lovin'? Or Beach Baby?
My Baby Loves Lovin'.
Correct. Ding, 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 ding. Now that's interesting because the lead singer on all those songs I mentioned was actually a guy by the name of Tony Burrows. He was just prolific, and he was on a TV show, and I think he performed with three different groups because there are three different hits out at the same time with him as lead singer. He did Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes. He Edison Lighthouse. He did United We Stand by the Brotherhood of Man. He did My Baby Loves Love. That was White Plains. And Gimme Dat Ding by the Pipkins. And Beach Baby by First Class. So
there was a whole bunch of those songs. You just mentioned like 3 or 4 of them that were all had that same sound and they're all different one-hit wonders. That explains it's Rondante, I mean, there's another one that came to mind as you were spouting those off, and remember Sweet Mary by Wadsworth Mansion. What a great song,
Oh, yeah.
Come and They Go,
Absolutely. One hit wonders. There's other ones, Wadsworth Mansion, that you just love to have that come back to you. It brings back.
Last Train to London by the Rose Garden. Nobody But Me by the Human Beings.
That was at one time, it may have changed, but it was the most negative song ever lyric wise.
No.
Yeah. So I'm here with Quincy Stringham, Boomer Buddy, and we've been talking about one hit wonders. I would really like it, and I know Quincy would appreciate it too, if you would if you're watching on YouTube, put in the comments below any one hit wonders that you remember and why you remember it and what thoughts or emotions come with that. We'd like to read those. We want you to like, share, and subscribe. Quincy, we're almost to 100 subscribers on this little Boomer Buddies channel. It's grown a lot.
I didn't know we had that many relatives.
Please share, like, and subscribe. Tell some friends. This is about nostalgia, good times. Quincy is still a musician, and he still loves playing. And it's always fun to hear his anecdotes. So, Quincy, I really appreciate you being on the show. If you have any ideas for Quincy or me that you want to talk about, put that in the notes too. You can also email me at myboomerbuddies4, the number 4, myboomerbuddies4@gmail.com. Always fun to see you, my friend, and talk music. And we got to talk some more baseball too as well, and history. Okay.
Sounds fun.
Okay. Do you have any closing comments, Quincy?
This was a lot of fun. Brings back lots of memories and gets the brain thinking back on all those, those 2 minute and 25-second blasts that permeated our fevered brains of our youth,
Well
a lot of fun stuff,
Fevered brains. That sums it up so well.
Yeah.
Well, Quincy, thanks for coming on.
Okay.
Always enjoy it. The fans out there love you. For My Boomer Buddies podcast, I'm Rick Reed, Quincy Stringham. Until next time, we'll see you around the block.
If you enjoy this podcast and are viewing on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button on your screen and share it with your friends, and feel free to comment below. You can also hear us on Spotify and Buzzsprout. Feel free to email comments to myboomerbuddies4@gmail.com.